This video I want to talk to Lyla. So I'll do my best to try not to sort of talk to TJ, but I'll try to just act like I'm talking to Lyla. It's a little bit difficult to do that when you're just talking to a camera. So this is Note to Lyla Michelle Cvejanovich, my one and only granddaughter. Reminds me that Lyla, you gave me a shirt last Christmas that says, do you know what it says? Do you remember what it says? It says, "You can't tell me what to do. You're not my granddaughter." One of my favorite shirts. Well, Lyla, this past February, this year you turned 11. So that's the stage of life you're at when I'm recording this video. You look something about like that. Okay? And here's another shot. I think we shot this maybe last Easter out in the backyard. Okay, so that's where you're at in life when I'm recording this. You're preteen, I guess we would say, but you're very mature and very smart, and you're kind of exceeding yourself, I think, in your aging. So I have scores of memories of you, I guess maybe especially because you're our first grandchild, and you kind of had a head start in generating stories in our hearts and minds because you got here before your brother Brody or your cousin Cedar. And that might explain why there's more pictures of you in our phones or in my iCloud than any other person. The most photographed child, kind of like I was. I was firstborn, so I had a head start. You were firstborn, so you had a head start. Let me tell you, Lyla, how Gigi and I learned that you were coming into our family. Imagine you've never heard this story before. Maybe you have by now, but who knows. 7 a.m., more or less, July 6th, 2012. My cell phone rings. Bling! It's your Aunt Tia Tina calling me early in the morning. Of course, she's not Tia at that time. You weren't born. But I'm thinking, why is Tina calling me so early in the morning? I mean, what's going on? She says, "Hey, Dad, I need to tell you something. They did not want you to find out like this, but Stephanie or Brian are having a baby. And right now they're on their way to the hospital because Stephanie's bleeding a little bit and they're worried they might be losing this baby. And they asked me to call you and Mom to ask you to pray for them." So I was like stunned because your mom and dad had not told us that they were pregnant with you or with the baby at the time. They were going to tell us a little bit later as a surprise, but now the emergency was at hand and they needed prayers, they felt, so they asked Tina to call me. So the secret's blown. We found out in an unseemly way and the need was urgent. So the first time we heard about you coming, it was terrifying and exciting all at the same time. How do you process those two extreme emotions? So Gigi and I, of course, prayed for you and your mom. Obviously, everything was okay. So it's like we had this great happiness and this great worry all at the same time. You know, we're having a grandchild, that's a great joy. The baby might be in trouble, that's a great worry. So we did what they asked. We prayed for God to save and preserve your life safely, and that's what he did, praise God. So that morning, while we were waiting to hear back from them, Gigi had started looking through her Bible for some guidance from the Lord, and I think it's pretty cool, the verse that the Lord gave Gigi. It's in Ecclesiastes 11:5. So here's what it says. as you do not know the path of the wind or how the body is formed in a mother's womb, so you cannot understand the ways of God, the maker of all things. That just seemed to be the perfect verse at that moment for what was happening, to give us peace and assurance. And so later your mom called to tell us that she was good, you were good, and we could be happy and relieved, and we were. So I said, hey, how about you guys come on over tomorrow? Let's just talk about all this. And actually, I jotted down some notes, which is my typical fashion, that I would share with them, and I still have those notes today. Maybe I'll give it to them someday, or give it to you someday. So anyway, I remember that like yesterday, and that's, in the neighborhood of 12 years ago, because that's when you were, first in your mommy's tummy. So, Gigi and I told your parents then that we were in 110%, and however we could help them, because they were getting ready to kind of start new jobs. And all around that time, your mom wanted to be a flight attendant with Southwest. That was her dream job. Your dad, Brian, wanted to be a firefighter, his dream job. But both of those paths were going to involve a lot of training and a lot of ramping up, and the schedule would be crazy of a firefighter and a flight attendant, and they were going to need help, of course. And so I believe the last 11 plus years, we've proved that promise to be true. We've been in 110%, and it's been the greatest joys of our life, quite frankly, to have you and Brody and Cedar nearby and around, and especially given the situation, a lot of childcare for you early on. I mean, at the Serenade Lane house in Richardson, you had your own room at our house. You lived with us a lot because of the schedule of your mom and dad. Now, when you were born on February 2nd, 2013, Gigi actually, your mom had asked her to be in the labor delivery room with her. So Gigi was right there when you arrived. And Gigi claims that her voice was the first voice that you heard when you came into the world. And she says, she whispered to you, Lyla, Jesus loves you and so do I. So that's what she told you in your baby ears, infant ears. And so as I said, in those early days, because of their jobs and schedule and a lot of training, you were, with us a lot. But before you were actually born, I remember, this is another Maggiano's memory, by the way, TJ. Or maybe I said it earlier. Your mom and dad took us to a special dinner at Maggiano's at North Park Boulevard, and that's when they told us what your name would be. And your dad's an artist, right? Artistic guy. So he'd written out on a nice envelope and a card, and we opened it up, and it said, Lyla Michelle Cvejanovich. It had just a great, perfect ring to it, we thought. So it was just right. So at that room at Serenade Lane, you had your own, at that house, you had your own room, and there's big letters on the wall, Lyla, Lyla. Gigi got that room all ready for you before you were ever born. So there's so many special memories. So these might not be just order. I'm just going to recap a few things for fun. I don't know how old you are if you're listening and when you're listening to this, but we used to dance around together in the living room, listening to the music, especially the Four Seasons. I think your one favorite song was Big Girls Don't Cry. And then we would just dance our hearts out, and you had so much energy. I remember your first steps were actually taken in St. Louis, as it were. We'd gone to St. Louis, and we were at Uncle Tony and Aunt Sherry's house, and you were toddling around there in the living room. Everybody's so excited to see you for the first time, and your mom had you there, and all of a sudden, sure enough, she let go of your hands, and you You took these baby steps across the living room. Everybody's counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you'd fall down, and you'd do it again and again. I don't know. You got up to like 7 or 8 steps, and we all got to enjoy those first steps together. Another trip to St. Louis we made on another occasion when you were a little bit older was to cousin Miriam's wedding. I don't know how old you were. We used to have that picture up here, but it's been moved around. But there's these pictures. Once again, I think you danced on that reception floor the entire evening. I don't think you ever stopped. Endless energy, just dancing and dancing your heart out. There's another picture when you're a little bit older. Wait a minute. That's Miriam's wedding. No, I think it might have been that same trip. Maybe another one. It's hard to remember, but we were at Meemaw's house in the living room, and I was going to take a picture of you guys, and you and Meemaw sitting on the couch, and then Meemaw said, "Let's hold hands," and so you held hands with your great-grandmother, and I got a nice memory with that picture. And then, of course, swimming and more swimming. I'm thankful we had the pool here. Gigi said we got to have a house with a pool for these kids. Thankfully, we did at Serenade and here. So it's always been a lot of fun with countless hours of swimming. I claim I taught you to swim, okay? And you even said that you can remember the Serenade Lane house, dog paddling around to teach you how to paddle, and I'd push you to the side and a little more, and before you know it, you were able to motor around that pool. And you know, you had friends, Kate and Ezra Morris, and they were a little bit older than you, and Gigi would pick them up and do all kind of things together with you, and then they were swimmers, so I think you watching them was a big help. You know, on learning how to swim. We used to go to Bear Park, 5 Slide Park near our old house, other parks, countless hours taking you to the parks to play on jungle gyms. Messiah Lamb's preschool was over near the Hope Center. This church had hosted this school, and we were able to get you in there for preschool, and you were there several years. I used to get to take you there a lot because it was great fun, because I was going to the Hope Center anyway for my work with E3 Partners, so I could take you to the Messiah Lambs, drop you off, and then go over to Hope Center to go to work. And secretly, you and I could stop and get donuts on the way to school. So your mom and Gigi couldn't find that out, our secret. We took you countless times. Gigi take you to the pet store, and you'd love to see animals and dogs and puppies and cats and kittens and fish and just enjoy that kind of a thing. And then I got a picture here that I'm fond of. Where are we at? Of going to another St. Louis trip, I guess. I don't know which one it might have been. Catch this. Your first fish catch. You didn't want to touch that fish, but it was kind of fun to help you catch that fish. This is off the dock at Uncle Tony's house in St. Louis. And one time we went to Grapevine Mills Mall. I always loved this special picture. Look how little you were. This is in the sled. We went there for Christmas. The Grapevine Mills Mall is all lit up with lights and all this stuff. And we got you and Gigi up here in this sled. So that's always been a special picture. And from when you were little, here's another one of my favorite special pictures of all time. I had this in my office when you were giving me a hug as a little girl. So just great memories, great times. We went to the aquarium at Grapevine Mills Mall countless times to see all the fish. Thanksgiving and Christmas celebrations, always a lot of fun. Playing left, right, center, I'm sure you remember that. You and Brody, and playing with Cousin Ed and Jackie, and stacks of $1 bills, and whoever should try to win that pot. You and Brody, however, seem to always win the money anyway. Whoever wins, give you guy the money. We had great outings and overnights at Great Wolf Lodge in the water park several different times. It was fun. The infamous trip, remember when we were going out to Grapevine are going out to Great Wolf Lodge, and we stopped at the Chili's. Your mom and dad were going out of town, and you were getting sick, and unfortunately, right at the Chili's, blah, you vomited on the table at Chili's. It was horrifying for everybody, mostly for you. But we were able to come back home, spend the night here. You threw up 7 more times in the sink like a champion. And I don't know, it must have been miraculous because overnight you got better and we went back to Great Wolf Lodge the next day, changed our reservation, somehow got an upgraded room in the lodge, and we had a great time. One time I took you to see the movie, The Greatest Showman. What a fun movie. It was great. I'd seen it with Gigi and I thought, man, I'm gonna take Lyla to this movie. So you and I go to the movie and I bought you a box of Skittles that you could eat, right? We had popcorn and all that stuff. And anyway, I'm trying to be measured a little bit here, but anyway, you're eating this candy. So at the end of the movie, there was some candy Skittles left over in the box. So we had them in the car, so we're driving home, you're in the back seat. And I said, so you know what, Lyla, you can just take those Skittles home, okay? That's fine. And you said, yes, because I really ate most of them anyway. And I said, are you going to tell your mom that? Long pause. No. I thought that was pretty funny. You going to tell your mom? Oh, no, I don't want her to know I ate most of the Skittles. You went to Wally Watkins Elementary School, kindergarten through 4th grade, many programs, many awards. You were in the Gifted Talented program the whole time. Great student, elementary student. And the time just flew by. Of course, at this recording, Brody's there now in the 3rd grade. Cedar's there also, which is great. Right now, you just have started 6th grade at Harrison Middle School. You made the transition last year, the elementary leap to this intermediate or middle school, I guess. And, you told me one time I'm driving you to school and you say, Sampo, do you realize after next year, after the 6th grade, I'll be halfway through my school career, except for college. I'm like, yeah, that's right. You're kind of freaking me out here because time just seems like it's flying by. At this time of life, you've been saying you want to go to Texas Tech. That's, of course, where your mom went and your dad went, both graduated. You're talking about going into a nursing program. Who knows, by the time you're listening to this someday or your kids are listening to it, maybe you're a nurse, I don't know. You've talked about being a flight attendant too. But you did say you might want to specialize in labor and delivery, which would be great. So, who knows? God knows. Or he might lead you in a whole nother path. Big deal in your life these days is soccer. I mean, it's been playing, you're 11, you've been playing for, 6 years already or something. You played community soccer, you played with the specialty teams, the Warriors. Now you changed to another specialty team, club team, I guess you call it. And your soccer skills are really improving. You love it, love it, love it for sure. You got a lot of friends. You're doing good. Last week you scored a goal with this new team. So you love being an athlete. You love to do every sport. You run great. Your dad takes you jogging out on the track. He's got you sprinting for energy and endurance buildup. Your parents are doing a good job. They're taking you and Brody to New Hope Bible Church these days. And we've been speaking to you about life and faith and Bible along the way, really, since you were a baby. We've got into this Superbook Club. You remember Superbook? It's almost like no telling. They're almost obsolete already. DVDs are almost obsolete now, right? Who's got a DVR or DVD anymore? Because everything's streaming now. This stuff, I got scores of these in the back room on shelves of all these Bible stories from Superbook that we used to have fun watching together. So I don't know, maybe this stuff becomes antiquish. Maybe they'd be worth money one day. Speaking of Superbook, in my home office, I got a little card that you filled out one day. It's a Superbook card. It says, "Today I received Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior." It says Lyla on it, and it's dated March 21, 2021. So whatever that's worth, that actually happens to be your parents' wedding anniversary day also. That is March 21st. So really our greatest prayer for you is that you would know God and that you would walk with Him and His Word and His will your whole life. I don't know where you're in faith at the time you're listening to this, but we've tried to hand you a legacy of vital Christian faith as your grandparents. You're a delightful young girl, beautiful. It's been fun watching you grow up, to watch your personality develop over your childhood years. Lately, I've got this thing called talking points. Do you remember that? It's a little deck of cards. Keep it in the car, and every time you just pull out a card, and it basically asks an interesting question as a conversation starter. So particularly with you and Brody, when I'm driving you around in my car, we pull out talking points, and it's just fun because it just leads to all kinds of conversations, and it maybe creates an opportunity to get you off of your iPad or iPhone a little bit to be able to actually talk. Can you imagine that? Lyla, you were the first child in your generation on both sides of the family. So like, for the Ingrassia side and the Cvejanovich side, you're first granddaughter. You're the oldest. That means you're the one that's sort of pioneering everything first. Like I was oldest in my family. And there's good things with that, and there's challenging things with that. So you're always cutting the new path for everyone in the family. So it's like, you do everything first in your generation. Not too long ago, you're telling me about, in a few years you'll be driving. It's like, what? Like TJ's recording this. His daughter Bella's 15 and a half, right? So she's driving now with her permit. It just freaks me out to think that that day's coming maybe faster than we can imagine. So to this day, Gigi and I are still providing some childcare for you guys because, you're 11, Brody's 8. Your parents still have their jobs, which requires us to, not requires, but offers us the opportunity to serve you guys by providing some oversight. I imagine the day's coming when you won't be needing that, right? It'll come. But it's been one of the greatest joys of our life to provide this care and be with you guys so much, and to know you and you know us and fingerprint your lives prayerfully. I think you have a relationship with God. You have a relationship with many people. You have an opportunity to influence many people and things. But that can only happen if you pay attention to leading yourself first. So you got to pay attention to yourself. And I'll talk more about this, but spiritually pay attention, emotionally pay attention, relationally pay attention, and in your leadership or influence platforms you have to pay attention to how you are, how people experience you, what kind of water you bring to the aquarium of your life. So you got to pay attention to yourself. There's a million things that nobody can do for you but you, and it's your choice. Just very, very recently this week, you got braces. You were excited about getting braces. I've been shuddering you getting braces. And these early days, I haven't seen you yet, actually. It's only a few days. And I heard you've been having pain with them, so it pains my heart to know you're having pain. I trust you get by it in a couple days, but hopefully your teeth will be straight when you're watching the video as a result of this decision that you guys made. At this stage of my life, 71, Gigi as well, I can't help but wonder, how many years we have left, how many more years of your life do we get to see, of Brody and Cedar's lives as well. 2024, hopefully we got a bunch of years left, you never know. My father, Angelo Ingrassia, who you never met, you met my mom, Mima, he died when he was 71. I'm 71. He died at 71 years and 8 months. So I hope I can go further than that. Otherwise, I'd only have about 7 months to go. His dad, my grandpa, Sam Ingrassia, lived to about 94 years old. So that might mean I have like 23 years left. So you never know. But I hope I get to see as much of your life and your brothers and cousins' lives as I can. So anyway, I love you so much. You're the only granddaughter I'm going to have. I'm pretty sure about that. And you're just a delight and the apple of our eye. And we just pray over you. We wish blessing for you. And I just pray when you're watching this, you just find yourself in an anointed place. Excuse me. Satisfying place in your life. And so we continue.